Now, today, let's talk about it. Google defines... Oh, is that Oxford? Oxford define... Yeah. The Oxford Dictionary defines perfect as having all the... Oxford, like... Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between. Thank you once more for joining us on the Airing It Out podcast. If this is your first episode, then welcome. Hope you find something worth sticking around for. Now, today, let's talk about it. Google defines... Oh, is that Oxford? Oxford define... Yeah. Oxford, like... The Oxford Dictionary defines perfect as having all the required and desirable elements, qualities and characteristics, as good as it is possible to be. Now that sounds nice, doesn't it? To have everything right, to be good at everything, and to be this idea of perfect. But personally, I think something perfect or somebody perfect would actually be quite boring. You wouldn't have much character. You wouldn't make any mistakes. Would you be much fun at a dinner party? I don't think so. Imagine an artist who created the perfect art. You know, what would that look like? You'd look at it and be like, okay, but does that not kind of defeat the entire purpose of art? Imagine an athlete who was the perfect athlete. You know, they scored a goal and they scored a goal and, oh look, yeah, they've scored another goal. You know, where's the interest in that? Where's the competition? And yet, we as people hide and mask the things that make us less perfect, don't we? Whether these are blemishes, vulnerabilities, emotions, and mistakes. We treat it almost as if keeping these things or hiding these things from the world will convince us and others that we're closer to this thing that is ultimately unattainable. I'll say that again. Perfection is unobtainable. So, in this episode, we are talking about embracing imperfection and the beauty of being flawed. Now, just to preface, I am not perfect. Let's not be mistaken. Now, you may, for whatever reason, listen to these podcasts and think, oh, wow, you know, they're talking about women. No. That is most certainly not the case. While I'm good at some things, I have my strength. Sure, don't get me wrong. I love mental health and I regard that as something that I enjoy and I think I'm good at. But boy, oh boy, are there some things where I even surprise myself and I think, damn, you're dumb. Like, I can look at a piece of machinery, whether it's at work or at the fire service, and it can be the most rudimentary, simple piece of machinery. And now I'm there looking at it like it's some, oh my god, cipher. I'm looking at it as if it's some cipher made by intelligent beings far beyond whatever. A couple of the interviews that we had at the start of the podcast, both of them, I spilled coffee right the way down my front and it was visible. Yesterday at work, I just got done cementing a wall and I needed to clean the shovel off a concrete off a shovel. So I thought, right, there's a carrier there. I work on a crest farm, so I'm gonna just hop in the carrier. It's fine. Little did I realise it was at the top of one of the beds, so it had a lot more water in it than I expected. And typically, the water doesn't go above your wellies, but where I underestimated it, I jumped into it with quite a bit of vigour, promptly followed by an awful lot of water filling up my welly boots. And I mentioned about how I tried giving swimming a go recently. I wanted to conquer my fear of swimming, so I went back and gave it a go, and it was f***ing horrible. It was awful. I was terrible at it. I was floundering and flapping, and I make mistakes. And you know what? That's okay. I'm okay with it. I accept that I make mistakes. I think one thing I sometimes struggle with, because I want to be the best that I can be, but you know, you can't be perfect. sometimes when you try and be perfect all the time, I mean, who is actually successful at doing that? No one is. You have to make mistakes. This is a little bit of a tangent, but
Yeah.
you're going to make mistakes, and it's okay. Keep that bit. I don't, or not. I don't really mind. But ultimately, it's okay that we make mistakes. You know, I actually want other people to be able to laugh at me. I don't want others to take me so seriously. I don't want to take myself so seriously all the time. I want people that meet me to be relaxed and a little bit disarmed. I've had it for a long time where people look at me and think, oh, he's a dick, or he looks arrogant, or he looks mean. I just got a bit of my face isn't very warm the first time you might see me because I've got a bit of a resting bitch face. But I think ultimately, like Theo Von says, I think more important to me personally is I want to be able to laugh at myself. I want to be able to make mistakes and think, that was actually quite funny. Theo Von said in one of his podcast episodes that, it's a good day when you're able to laugh at yourself. Let's have a look at it in a different way. So for generations, men have hidden their emotions from the world and they have guarded their vulnerabilities as if finding these weaknesses would expose them as being weak, as being an imposter, as being a fraud, as being soft and less of a man. Emotions have for a long time, in men, been seen as potential doorways to these secrets, and so they were closed off. Things are different now, and with times and generations things have changed. The old masculinity isn't really working anymore, so the younger generations have begun adapting. We're learning as young men that vulnerabilities won't end us, nor emotions expose us. Just quickly, for any man that is listening, as a little side note, having emotions does not make you weak. Having vulnerabilities does not make you an imposter. Having emotions or vulnerabilities does not make you a fraud. And nor does it make you less of a man. If anything, please take that away from this episode. At the Airing It Out podcast, one of our values and one of the pillars that we have always stood by is that it will always take more strength to own your emotions and to accept your vulnerabilities and sometimes even turn them into strengths than it ever will to hide them. Because whether you like it or not, whether you're hiding them or not, they are a part of you. It's just whether or not you're choosing to show that part of you to the world. And what ultimate goal is there in accepting and loving who you are, then embracing the things that you or society might not deem as perfect? There you go again, perfect. A bloody word. It's okay not to be okay, and we can accept that. It will always take more courage to say, you might not like this, and I might not like this, but this is who I am. This is part of me, and I accept that, and I'm willing to learn to love that part of me. And by making it yours, you take that power away from those who you're trying to hide it from. Hopefully by now we have encouraged you perhaps away from the path of perfection. We like to say we can strive towards perfection, sure, that's fine, but that comes with the acceptance that it is not an obtainable goal. We can strive for perfection because we know that in striving towards it we might attain excellence. However, if perfection, we understand, is ultimately unrealistic, then is there an alternative? And I would like to offer something to you. I would like to offer beauty as the alternative to perfection. Why? Because beauty is suffering. Beauty is embracing that part of you which people might not deem as perfect. Saying, no, this is me. I wear my heart on my sleeve and I accept and I love who I am. Beauty is the artist who bleeds for that art. For no art is created without some kind of suffering. Beauty is the dedicated athlete who is willing to do everything that they can to be their best. One does not simply wake up as the best in the world, and all the talent in the world won't count for much if you don't put in the time and dedication. That time and dedication, that commitment, is that athlete suffering. And beauty is also that person in pain who is on their road to recovery, because they won't get it right. They'll make mistakes. It will take time. and they're coming from a place of pain, but they are taking that pain and making something new, something that they love, something positive, and something beautiful out of that suffering. All these people know that they are flawed. They know that they're not perfect. Otherwise they wouldn't need to try. But despite their flaws, they try anyway. And they have to get it wrong a hell of a lot, more than you could probably imagine, in order to get it right. And it's never easy. Nothing about it is easy. No part of meaningful suffering is easy. Otherwise it wouldn't be worth it, would it? But it's that resilience that they show. The courage and the will to make those mistakes and to keep going. That makes them beautiful. So as we round this episode off, perhaps as you go on waiting for the next episode, choose beauty. But until then, please take care of yourself. Stay beautiful. See you later.
Imperfection.